Hey y'all, welcome to another one of my videos. Today we're going to be talking about my thoughts and impressions on each first round series of this NBA playoffs. So, without further ado, let's get on to it. Um, oh yeah, look at my fit, y'all. Pretty tough. So tough. I got it from my oh, the shirt I got from my sister on my birthday, so we fuck with it because it's comfy and it looks nice. So yeah, and then I got my Lakers hat on. Um, did I ever show? I don't think I showed y'all my hat collection besides like this stack of hats here, but maybe I'll do that sometime. But anyway, let's actually get into the video now. Um, we're gonna go in order of when each series got closed out. So we're gonna start off with the OKC Thunder and Suns. So that ended in a sweep, and that was pretty much to be expected. I mean, this Thunder team is like historically great. Um, had some rough patches during the regular season, but overall still a dominant team. Um, yeah, so about what you expect. And to me, this solidified the Thunder as the 2026 NBA champions. I already knew that going in, or not new, because anything can happen, but I already predicted that going in. But this, like I said, solidified it for me. And I was only able to watch one game of the series, but one thing I think is the most underrated part of that team is the fact that they're all young. I think their youth allows many benefits to be had for OKC. For starters, less injury prone. You got younger players, less wear and tear, um, all that good stuff. But also team chemistry because they're all around the same age and likely haven't built up their egos left, or yeah, haven't built up their egos yet, like with a lot of older players. Um, it allows for them to play great basketball and to like synergize well with each other, right? Um, we're gonna get to another team that is the complete opposite of that, but and it's cool because the older players are treated with much more respect, I think, just because there aren't that many. And plus they're awesome. I mean, it's like Shea and Alex Caruso, maybe Hartenstein. I think he might be up there too, but yeah, those are like the older players of the team. And yeah, they get treated with a lot of respect. And they're like role models, you know what I mean? Um, I think that is very, very underrated on like an NBA team. It is like team synergy and how well each player connects with one another. Really important part. And I think that's part of like Sam Presti's mindset when building this team. I think um, I heard he would rather I'm paraphrasing like heavily because I can't think of the whole thing on top of my head, but something like he'd rather have um a player with like a good like personality than like a skilled player. Obviously, you want both. So like player with a personality and has skill, right? But he would take a player that's like less skilled if they just fit on the team better, right? You get what I'm trying to say. I can't remember the whole thing off the top of my head, but yeah, let's move on then. I've talked about the series for long enough, but yeah, the Thunder did their thing. The Suns, I mean, they overachieved this season, all thanks to Dylan Brooks, I'd say, but can't wait to see what happens to him in the offseason. But I think the next series on the chopping block would be the Spurs and Trailblazers. Um, yeah, the game I watched, because I only watched one game too, was probably the best one in the series, at least from what I've heard. It was the one in Portland. I want to say like game three, probably not game four. I want to say game three. I think the series was tied up at that point, and Portland had like a really strong lead in like the first half, and then towards the second half, that's when the San Antonio Spurs just completely dominated them. Wemby, De'Aaron Fox, like Castle, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was like a team performance, but yeah, I remember those guys, I think. But yeah, this series also kind of went how you expected. Probably the only two like predictable series, you know what I mean? Felt like everything else was super unpredictable, but um, yeah. So it got a little scary when Wemby like hit his head. I think it was game one. Um, and had to miss like I think he only missed one game, luckily, but um, yeah, that got scary because Wemby so far in his career has been pretty injury prone. Not really his fault, just because, um, him being like freakishly tall and just maybe bad luck too. You know what I mean? Because taller players are more injury prone. Um, but yeah, not much more else to say. So yeah, good job, Trailblazers. They kind of also overachieved too, making the playoffs and all that. Um, One hell of a season from Denny, Dia too. So yeah, good on them. But I think up next is the Knicks and the Hawks. Um, I predicted the Hawks to win. I didn't think it'd come easy. I thought they'd win in like 7 games, but I was kind of believing in like the NBA Cup curse. Plus, like in the regular season, they had a really weird stretch. The Knicks did, where they just kind of were losing a lot of games that they shouldn't have. So I wasn't completely sold on them, but I was completely wrong. That game six, I think I watched 2 games. I watched, I think one in Atlanta, maybe like game three or game four, and then part of game six. I think probably like the second half of game six. Because I was like playing a game in my room, and then I go out because my mom was watching the game, and they were up by 50 at halftime. So I was like, no fucking way this is happening. I've never seen anything like this. So I stopped what I was doing and I just watched the rest of the game. Um, yeah, dude, that's crazy. Um, it feels like the Knicks have been kind of doing that a lot too. I feel like they've been blowing out teams by like 50 some points a lot this season, more frequently than like a lot of other teams. Because obviously that's rare. Um, but yeah, I mean, Karl Anthony Towns was very solid during the series. Brunson, I'm trying to recall. I don't think he had his best series, but I think it was good enough, right? Um, and then like CJ McCollum was playing like crazy. I think like towards the beginning of the series anyway, and then he kind of burnt out towards the latter half. But yeah, um, really embarrassing. I wouldn't want to be a Hawks fan at all. I feel really bad for y'all right now. That's a horrible way to go. Um, but at least you weren't like considered contenders. If you were, that would be just one of the most humiliating things to ever happen. But because they weren't considered contenders, I mean, it's still embarrassing, but not too bad. Um, but yeah, that's about it. Um, Up next is the Minnesota Timberwolves versus, or I guess Denver Nuggets versus Minnesota Timberwolves. Um, that I think it was 6 games. I think they won 6 games, yeah. Um, but Nikola Jokic is my favorite player, and I was just so disappointed. It felt like his stats looked great still, aside from the efficiency, but like I don't know, it just he did not feel clutch at all. I felt like any time where he could have been clutch, he just wasn't. In fact, quite the opposite. And my mom was echoing the same sentiment too. Um, he'd also get like really riled up during the series, like a lot. I felt like he probably started at least like two fights in that series, and that just I don't know. Yeah, and I think now is the time. A lot of people have been saying it, but I think now is the time to start considering the fact that Jokic may not be the best in the world anymore. Shea's been having a one hell of a season, and I think this year he definitely had a better season than Jokic for sure. Having a better season doesn't make you a better player, obviously, but I feel like Shea might start, may have started to prove that. So I don't know. It's close between Shea and Jokic for me. But I mean, Giannis is also really good too. Same with Luka. But yeah, really disappointed. It felt like the Nuggets were just dropping stinkers left and right. When if they had played their best basketball, they could have won in like 5 games. Um, but yeah, but you also gotta give credit to the Timberwolves. I mean, they're just like sneaky good. They're one of those teams where you always kind of doubt them. I think part of it is their seeding. They're like, except for 2024, they've always been like the sixth seed. So that's not a seed you really expect to get very far. But they do. They always manage to do it. And I feel like this year they also could against the Spurs in the second round, but we have to wait and see. But yeah, they're a damn good basketball team, and I think they play even better in the playoffs. Um, Obviously, Jaden McDaniels was talking his shit, and then actually backed it up in that game six, so that's always nice to see. But yeah, they played pretty well without Ant and DiVincenzo. And also, that's too bad. You hate to see another Achilles tear on anyone. Um, so, I mean, yeah. But yeah, Timberwolves played great. Um, Great, great, great basketball. Rudy Gobert, I'd say, is still one of the most underrated players in the game. Definitely overhated or underrated. I'm gonna say overhated. Um, but that's about it for that series. So to complete the West, I think up next is Lakers and Rockets. Go Lakers. I did not expect this to happen. I thought they would for sure. I didn't think they'd get swept. Like, come on now. You know, they're still kind of a solid enough team without Luca and Austin Reeves, but I didn't think they'd get swept. I thought they'd lose in like five or six, probably six. I don't know. But crazy. They went up 3-0 at one point. Um, yeah, I'd say that's more about LeBron playing amazing basketball, even at like 41. I do get tired of hearing that, but you got to give credit where credit is due. That's impressive. He really cares about um, the game of basketball and his legacy. So props to him. But also, like, I never realized how bad the Rockets were. Like I mean, they're obviously a playoff team. They're not dog shit, but they're the team that I mentioned before, unless it was in another take, that they're like the opposite of the Thunder. They just have horrible team chemistry. A lot of that has to do with the KD Burner situation, 100%. But even without it, I don't think they had a lot of good chemistry anyway. Um, Plus their offense is just so weird. Like, it feels like no one can shoot besides KD. And, a big problem was double teaming KD because like he couldn't reliably like pass the ball out. It would result in a lot of turnovers. So yeah, just weird. Like, was there anyone I'd say played really well on the Rockets? Dude, I don't know. I don't know if I can say that because I only watched one game because those West Coast games are late as hell. I'm much more likely to watch like Eastern Conference games because of that. But yeah, dude, they just did not play well. Really embarrassing because they could have won probably, definitely that third game they could have won if they had just played better. But they could have probably won like game one or two as well. But they didn't. Instead, they went down 0-3. So, yeah, I want to see something major in the offseason for the Rockets. Maybe don't get rid of KD, I guess. That's just a big thing, but shake up the roster somehow so it just works. I don't know how you do that. I'm not a general manager, but yeah, so I'm curious what happens in the offseason for them. But as of right now, can't wait to see my Lakers get swept by the Thunder. I think they could get a game up on them, but we'll see. It depends on when Luca and Austin Reeves come back, but yeah. Oh, and I'm worried about Austin Reeves. He hasn't really proven to be like a clutch playoff performer. He's kind of like um shrunken down in the playoffs a little bit, I'd say. But yeah, anyway, let's move on. So we're done with the Western Conference now. We got three teams left, and I think all of these were game sevens then, yeah. Yeah, all three of these were game sevens. So the first one, this is probably the one I'm most excited to talk about. Celtics and 76ers. Um, Very interesting series, dude. I had Boston winning that easily. I thought they would get business done before Embiid would come back. And even if Embiid did come back, I didn't think they'd win. But yeah, I mean, it felt like Embiid, Edgecombe, Maxey, like almost all those guys played really, really well in each series. It felt like, even in the losses. So they had a lot of fight in them, and you got to respect that. So, I mean, that's what helped them get to the next round. But as for Boston, man, they're just they're stubborn. That's like the perfect word to describe them. They're so stubborn. They just want to play it their way, as in like shooting a bunch of threes, letting the math work out for them, right? You know, three more than two, just go ahead and do that. We won a lot of games that way. Um, I'm saying that from like their perspective, right? But it just feels so one-dimensional. Like in the end of that game seven, they were just jacking up threes and none of them were going in. And it was like, bro, if you did something different, or at least I don't know, it's just not working. Like y'all shot horribly that game. Um, and it's just predictable too, right? Like if you're a good three-point shooting team, people or the opposing players are going to guard you more. They're going to pay attention to that more, right? It just feels so weird because Joe Mazzulla is like one hell of a coach, but he just seems really stubborn. Um, and yeah, that's kind of how they went out with the New York Knicks last year too. They weren't shooting well, and that resulted in them going down 3-1, even I'd say before the Achilles tear on Tatum. But one thing I will say, there is a bit of an asterisk, I guess. If Jason Tatum had played, maybe Boston could have gone a win, but I still don't know, man. I still don't really know. But yeah, I hope the 76ers beat the Knicks the next round. I have nothing against the Knicks. I just finally want to see Joel Embiid make the conference finals. Um, to help his legacy a little bit more. But yeah, so sorry Celtics fans, I feel bad for y'all, but y'all are still going to be a good team next year. So hopefully y'all can fix everything. That needs to be fixed. So yeah. And then as for Philly fans, good luck. Um, but yeah. And then the last two. Oh, another exciting one. The Pistons and Magic. Another game seven, right? Um, just an ugly series. Like probably the ugliest series I've seen. I think I've watched two or three games of that series. I'd say like maybe two and a half games. And it just felt like every game I watched, it it was just an ugly win, right? I don't feel like I felt like Cade Cunningham, Tobias Harris, and Paolo Banchero were the only ones who played like I guess consistently well, even though Paolo kind of dropped off certain games. Um, yeah, I mean Paolo was just a playoff riser. He had a bunch of like no, he had like 45 points along with Cunningham one game. Crazy. I've never seen that before. Um, and then had like a 38 point game, I think, in that deciding game seven. Um, yeah, dude's like a playoff riser. However, his team is just not built for winning. You know what I mean? They're really good on defense, but they're not a good offensive team, which is why they were able to blow a 3-1 lead against the Pistons. And the Pistons' weakness just it felt yeah, no one felt reliable besides like Cade Cunningham and I guess Tobias Harris. Um, Jalen Duren especially was just dropping stinkers. Um, I mean, at one point, I don't know if it ended like this, but his regular season average was like 19 point something, probably close to 20, and then dropped to like 9.8 or something like that. Um, that is just like unacceptable. You're not going to get signed to like a max deal next season off of that, even though you guys won the series. You got to be able to perform your best in the playoffs, right? So, you know, that sucks, obviously, but um, they were still able to get the win. Um, yeah, so I'm happy for you Detroit fans. You guys didn't go out sad. Um, And also, I didn't mention this. I think this might be the first time in history where um, two teams came back from a 3-1 deficit in the first round. Could be wrong. But also, I forgot, um, this isn't the first time the first seeded Detroit Pistons went down 3-1 against the eighth seeded Orlando Magic in the first round. That happened in 2003, uh, with like Ben Wallace and like T-Mac, right? Um, the Orlando Magic back then were up 3-1 and then blew a 3-1 lead, just like this year. So it's really funny how history has a thing of repeating itself. And yeah, that's about it. So let's move on to the last series. Cavs and Raptors, another game seven, of course. I think this was the one I watched the most just because of how early the games were and because my mom's a Cavs fan. That was the bigger reason. So she was watching every single game that they played in. Um, yeah, I just felt so bad whenever the Cavs would lose, especially that game six. Oh my God. An overtime game where RJ Barrett has this absurd shot. People keep comparing it to that Kawhi shot in like what was it, like 2019? I think it's more comparable to Tyrese Halliburton shot in the 2025 playoffs against the Knicks. Just the way it bounced and stuff like that. Um, yeah, but no, the Cavs were able to get it done. I was really worried James Harden would further tarnish his legacy by dropping a stinker in Game 7. I think he had an okay game, but I mean, they still won. That's all that mattered. I'd say the biggest deciding factor um, was Jared Allen. Jared Allen played really well that game, especially like third quarter. He got like a lot of points and rebounds, I'm pretty sure. Um, yeah, I think Jared Allen might be one of their most impactful players when they play well. You know what I mean? I feel like he plays in such a way where he just gets shit done, right? So. Really good. The brights weren't that light this, or the bright, or no, I keep saying it wrong. The lights weren't that bright this season. So, um, yeah. I'm thinking about what team. Um, I don't know. It's either the Knicks or Cavs I would have going to the finals. I feel like it's going to be one of those two. But anyway, let's talk about the Raptors a bit then. It really sucks that Ingram got injured. Um, I feel like the Raptors may have won if he were there, but Scotty Barnes, man, he was the best player of that series. It just felt like he was giving it his all and playing like a madman. So, respect Scotty Barnes. Also, Colin Murray Boyles. Shout out to him. He's playing well. I'm starting to like him. But this 2025 NBA draft class is shaping up to be like historic so far anyway. They all just look so good. Not all of them, obviously, but a lot of like the lottery picks are looking to be so good. So yeah, tough loss for the Raptors, but hey, I don't think anyone expected them to win the championship this year. So hopefully they can just improve next season and get a lot better, right? They got a lot of good things going for them, a lot of good assets that make them just good. So yeah, well, I think that's it. Um, I'll make a video on each second round series. For the second round series, I'll try watching two. But yet again, those fucking West Coast games, dude, I can't do like 8:30 and later. That just puts me to sleep, man. I can't stay up that late. So I really wish they were much earlier in the day. That way, even if I do get off of work, whatever, I can just play it without waiting or skipping through or no, you want to skip through commercials so you can. Anyway, this video is done. Yeah, have a good day, y'all.